But you spend so much time at work. Make sure you choose a career that you love, that
Yeah.
you have a passion for. Stay true to yourself and your values and don't
If
compromise.
you are running a business and you go have receivables, don't wait until you have a collection crisis to care about the receivables. The way you manage your cash flow tells the story of your business.
People want to tap into that success and they're like, well, hold on, how did you do this? And what I learned is because I'm so full, I believe in investing and I want to, if you ask me a question, I can give you a strategy, but at the end of the day, it's not just the strategy, it's the implementation piece of it.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Talks on Demand. I am Dawn Nicole, your host, and I'm so excited to have friends and women I admire with me today and members of ProcuraFind. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start with you, Tammy. Tell us a little bit about the name of your business and what you all do, and where are you based out of?
Sure. I'm Tammy Carr with Talent Source. We are based out of the South Bend, Indiana area. We specialize in the technical and recruiting space, or I'm sorry, technical and professional space, and can help with contract to hire, and direct hire placements. We're also a certified diverse supplier, and we've been in business about 16 years.
Wonderful. I cannot wait to just pick your ear and ask you all the questions today. I'm sure our audience wants to learn as much as you know. So thank you for being here, Tammy. And
Absolutely.
Mika Piles, Walker Piles, tell us more about the name of your company, where you based out of, and what you offer.
Sure. I'm Mika Walker with Walker Piles Consulting. I help businesses get paid faster and run smarter by modernizing their receivables with AI strategies. We're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we were established in 2016. So I look forward to chatting with you.
Nice. Good, good, good. Well, I'm so grateful that you are all here. This series today is all about your why. We're doing a special small business segment where I'm hoping that we can inspire, but also, ladies, share the reality of being a small business owner. I feel like with social media, people are always seeing the highlights, right, Mika, right, Tammy? They're always seeing the good stuff. You're walking on stage and accepting the award. But what about the whole story? So, Tammy, I'm going to start with you. So, did you always know that you were going to get into HR? Like, tell me about how did you figure it out? Because oftentimes we go through like a few business ideas and a few concepts before we say, okay, this is my thing. So, talk to me about how you knew HR was your thing.
Okay. Well, I've always been someone that loves to help people, and
Yeah.
recruiting and HR is a people business, right?
Mm.
So I actually fell into the industry. When I moved to Florida, I went to register with a temporary service to get a temporary job while I was looking for a permanent job, and they hired me on direct. So I literally fell into the industry, and here I am almost 30 years later. So
Wow, wow. That is really great. So you kind of just always knew like your path was sort of set. You kind of knew that that was going to be where you were headed. Yeah.
yes, once I fell into it, I loved it. And my mom was an entrepreneur. So I think it was just
Just
God
made sense.
made me that way. And
Yeah. Awesome. Mika, what about you? Was that your story or did you have to like go through a few things? I remember people thinking I was so confused because I did personally go through a few things, but how did you land in your world of like accounts receivable and just tell us more about, how you got there?
Sure. Well, I have always been a serial entrepreneur. I literally started my first company when I was 10 years old. My mom loves to tell that story. But, I would start companies and I realized that I did not necessarily like working in them the day to day. I like the build out and the solving of the problems. And then my friend told me one day, she said, what you're doing is consulting. You go into your businesses or others' businesses and, you tell them how to improve and such. And I said, you know what, you're right. I think that's the part of it that I love. But as far as the collection space, right out of college, I worked in collections. So I've been in this space. I often would go to agencies and feel like I knew a little bit more than everybody else. I would create talk offs. One day I walked into an office and my talk off that I had on my desk was shared with everyone. And so I
Wow.
said, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too. And I went and I started my own agency. And
Yeah.
from there, I just spent the next 20 years in the AR space helping businesses before moving to my own area to grow their AR and manage their receivables.
And we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about like you all's journey, how you went from maybe working for someone to working for yourself.
Oh,
So we're going to talk about all that. But I want to know, so real fast, when you talk about AR, and then I see that Jessica has joined us. So in just a moment, I'll have you introduce yourself, Jessica, but feel free to come off mute because I'm just going to be spot calling on you. So, but talk to us, Mika, for people who aren't really sure about the whole ball of wax, that AR, like when you say accounts receivable, I know what that term means, but what are some of the key things that touches? What do you mean when you say that for the people in the back?
Sure. So essentially to break it down, debt collections. So your outstanding receivables, so your outstanding debt. So as a company, if you have terms at all, net 30 or whatever your terms are, where someone's not paying you right then and there, then that is a receivable. It's outstanding and you need to collect on it.
Wow.
And now we're trying to figure out how to make sure you get paid and how to make sure you get paid quickly.
Yeah.
And that also rolls into the credit side. So it's often heard as credit and collections when we're referring to AR. And there could be an aspect of billing to it too, to the billing side.
That's really good to know. And so for those, and then I'm totally going to lean into Jessica because I love that we've got three totally different businesses here. I love this. So this is totally different from AP, accounts payable. This is all completely a focus on you receiving what you're owed, period.
Yes.
Got
yes.
it. Love
Completely different.
Yeah, totally different. Okay, good. Well, we're going to be coming back to you. So, Jessica, welcome aboard again. As you know, this is our special edition of Talks on Demand, where we are getting your why stories, why you started. So, why don't we begin with a quick introduction? Who are you? Tell us the name of your business, where you're based out of, and what you all offer.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for the invite. So happy to be here with you all. And the name of my business is NC Spotless Pros Power Washing. We are located in NC. You hear the NC Spotless, right? North Carolina is where we are located, and we serve the North Carolina, South Carolina, the Southern. When you think about being from down south, we service them through power washing, spotless experiences, is what we call them, because we believe that the end result will be spotless.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jessica. So just to set the stage, we've got three different businesses here, if y'all are keeping up, okay? Because we're going to go deep today. We've got HR, leadership, people-oriented business, and it's much more than just HR, Tammy. I feel like when you say HR, people just put it in a box, but it's a wide scope of things you do. But then we've got AR, not to be confused with HR, right? Accounts receivable. I just put that together. And then we have power washing, which I feel like is more kind of industrial. It touches the construction space. And so we should have some good stories between you. And I guess I should introduce myself real fast because really we have four different types of businesses here, right? For those who might be paying attention to what I do, I'm the founder of ProcuraFind. And basically we help small businesses get developed and connected to corporate contracts faster. And I would put myself, ladies, in that educational category. Like, even though we're really making connections and access, it's really about education and professional consultancy at scale is what I would categorize us as. So I'll ask you, Jessica, the question I just asked the other two ladies. Did you always know that you were going to be in that power washing space? Like, how did you land there? How did you get there? Like, quick story. How'd you end up doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that seems like the process. It's been quick, but to me long, right?
Yeah.
So no, I had no idea I would always be in this space. It started out for me during the pandemic. What started out as trying times when so many people were giving up hope. First of all, I said, you know what? I refuse to be a sitting resource. What skills do I have that can allow me to grow? And the thing that was birthed was we had a janitorial company right down the street. They needed our services. So we started out in facility management. And so over the last 6 years, we niched down. We looked at the numbers. I had to do the accounting, the bookkeeper. I know about wearing all these hats because that's what I'm doing. And I'm looking at the numbers like, hold on, wait a minute. People are calling us for power washing. How much time? Because as a family, we're going out and we're cleaning these buildings. How much time is it taking us to cleaning versus a power washing experience? And I love that we niche down because now when people call us in that commercial industry or that government industry, they get an experience where they're like, you know what? we were looking for someone who specializes in power washing. We were looking for someone with those expertise who
Yeah.
could come in and deliver a top-notch result.
Wow, I love that. So you all have kind of different stories of how you landed on that. And I will tell you, I don't know if you went through this. It doesn't sound like you did, but I was kind of ridiculed on my way here. And we don't talk about that enough because someone like me, and maybe this is piquing your thought process too. There were a lot of things I did well when I left corporate America, and I want to talk about you all's journey too. Like, did you work in a corporate space first, and how did you make that leap to be an entrepreneur? But for me, I had worked in corporate America for 20 something years. I left corporate America in 2015, and I called myself figuring it out, right? I always knew I was strategy. I knew I was business, Mika, right? I knew I was
Right.
a people person, Tammy, and Jessica. I knew I was good with training, but how do you move those stones around? Like, how do they fit? And I found myself, I was calling myself secret sauce, let me help you figure out your secret sauce and state your pitch better, right? So we went through that. And then it was business development. Let me help you grow your business. And then it became AI training. And I remember while I was trying to figure it out, being judged and ridiculed, I had somebody make a joke. Who are you going to be today? What are you doing today? And I think that we have to be careful with that. And I'm curious to know if that was y'all's case too. Like, while you were trying to figure it out, did you have judgment or did you feel pressure? I know I did, and maybe because I was visible. That's the thing. When you're a visible figure and you're in the front, you don't get the luxury of figuring it out or failing quietly. You fail publicly, right? You win and you lose publicly. And I had people who were like, here's Dawn Nicole with something new. And what I didn't know at the time is everything I was doing was preparing me
Yes.
what I would become, but I didn't know it. I just was so, and I felt like, gosh, I keep trying these things and that's not quite it. And it's not that I'm bad at it, but there's something else. And then when I hit it, it was always this. I figured out that all the things I was using, like your pitch, Mika, like now we have pitch pals. Well, in 2018, I was trying to help people with their pitch and their secret sauce, or the training, Tammy, when I was helping people with training. Now we have a world-class training element to ProcuraFind, right? And being a connector, Jessica. And so God would have it that I would be able to one day pull all these things together. And that's why you have to be kind to people while they're figuring it out, because one day they're going to figure it out and they're going to remember how you treated them.
Mhm.
So, with that said, let me get off the soapbox. I want to hear from you all. Did you go through different chapters, different phases? Did people doubt you? Did you question yourself along the way? Tammy, let's go to you. I want to know about more about your journey. Like, talk to us about that.
Okay. So after I'd been in the industry about 15 years or so, and I had done well in the industry, I thought, why can't I do well for myself?
Yeah,
Done
yeah,
well for everybody else, several companies I'd worked for. And I was in, at that time, a dual income household. I started in the industry when I was single. And so I knew I could, justify venturing out and taking that leap of faith,
yeah.
with my husband being on board then.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's how it began. And I wanted to create a unique culture where people come first and family comes first. I adopted my daughter when she was 3.5. I
Oh,
didn't want to miss out on anything else in her life.
yeah, yeah.
I already lost those 3.5 years, so I wanted that work-life balance and flexibility. So there were a lot of driving forces behind,
Mhm.
what got me there. But I am in a very competitive industry in a small
Yeah,
market. And I did have a 1 year non-compete. So, I was frowned upon from the last company I left, of course, because then I became a competitor after 1 year,
yeah.
but we've done extremely well. It's been almost 16 years that Talent Source has been in business, and we have a great reputation and high integrity, and we've come a long way.
Yeah. How did you, and then I want to hear Mika and Jessica's story too, because I think that working for other people at first, and then even working for a team is very different than you one day saying, I'm actually going to do it and I can do it. Like, I think there's one thing to say you're going to do it, and then there's the moment of belief. How long did it take you? And what was that like, Tammy, owning that belief to say, not only am I going to do it, I'm doing it. I'm doing it right. This is me. Because I think, I'm curious to know what that's like for other entrepreneurs. Did you have that aha moment where you knew you could, in fact, be a business owner and be successful at it?
Yes, my aha moment was really so I adopted my daughter when I was single, and then so I did everything a little bit backwards. But then once I had my husband in the mix, my aha moment was quite shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
I just wanted to again be involved in my daughter's life as much as possible. Field trips, volunteering at school, Girl Scouts, whatever it is. I still worked very hard, but I had the flexibility to work around my schedule. So that aha moment came pretty quickly once I was in a dual income
Yeah,
situation.
that helps, right, ladies? That helps when you have
Right,
second income. That definitely,
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah. Belief is not so hard to attain. Where you, yeah, I'm doing all right. I can do this.
right,
That helps.
exactly.
Yeah, that's good. What about for you, Mika? What was the switch like going from? And I know you recently had it. I don't want to steal your thunder. Talk to me about the moment of belief where you made that leap to become a full-time entrepreneur.
Sure. So initially, in the initial run, I found myself bouncing from company to company.
Yeah,
So as I was with one company, I would feel, like I said, oh, this process will work better if we did it this way. But who
yeah,
am I,
yeah.
right?
Who am I? Yeah,
Who am I to tell them how to run their company? So
yeah,
I would go on to the next challenge. And then at one point I was in an interview because back then, not to give away my age, but back then it was frowned upon to have so many jobs on your
yeah,
resume. But you know what I realized sitting in that interview? I said, I have all this experience. Like the person interviewing me and the team, they had been at this one company for, I don't know how long, but me, I have seen my tool belt is like vast, right? It's broad because
yeah,
I've been other places. So I know how different systems, I know, how they solve issues in other places. And I brought all that to one place. And then that right there is what empowered me. The fact that, like you said, it set me up on this journey. I went through all that so that I would have the knowledge.
yeah.
And so that's when I said to my very same friend, we were riding along in a car, and I said, someone just called me and asked me, such and such. She's like, well, it was simple to you. It may not be simple to
Yeah.
them.
That's so
Right.
good. That's so
And
good.
that's when it clicked to me that this stuff does come fairly,
Yeah.
easy for me. I have the strong acumen that I'm not really, taking advantage of. And so that's when I decided, hey, if I'm doing it for them and I love doing it and I'm passionate about the improvements, then I can do it for myself. Do you want me to jump into more recently or?
No, you can hold. That's so
Okay.
good because you just, oh my gosh. And I know Jessica a couple of times. Jessica's like, her light bulbs are going off over there too. I want to say one thing that I hope we get back to, y'all. Let's make sure we get back to this one nugget that Mika hit on. It's so good. The whole aspect of because it comes easy to you does not mean it is less valuable to others. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, we don't price things properly sometimes. Y'all know what I'm talking about
Mhm.
because it's like, oh, that's easy. That takes some only, but it's so valuable to someone else. And I'm so glad you said that. So that's how you know you're in your love lane where you can do this
Oh,
right in your,
absolutely. I was doing it free for so long because I just love talking shop. I love
yeah.
talking business all the time. Someone start a conversation, I can build out their whole business off that conversation. Then I realize, hey, wait a minute.
Let me pump the brakes. This is worth my. That's
Okay.
so good. We're going to come back to that. Okay, so oh my gosh, Jessica, I don't even know where to go with you. But okay, so for you, I do want to talk about the moment of belief. And the reason why that word is so important to me, at least as an entrepreneur, is because I think it's one thing to say on paper and to tell yourself, yeah, we're going to do X, we're going to do it, we're going to start the business or do whatever. But then there has to be something, there has to be a moment where you really believe it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Really believe it that
Right.
we can actually be successful. Something is happening here. What was that like for you, to like talk to me about the moment of belief and how you knew you could be successful doing what y'all are doing?
I'm going to
Absolutely.
tell you, I worked with a gentleman in the past, and I didn't think we had the best relationship. Okay, so that's at that point. Fast forward a couple of years, I have helped several people build million-dollar businesses.
Hmm.
And I was going on a job, and the guy knew this gentleman. And I was like, oh boy. And he said to me, the gentleman that potential client said to me, yeah, I spoke with such and such. And I'm like, mm-hmm. He was like, and he said, oh, that girl has the golden touch.
Oh,
And I was like, he said that about me? And he was like, oh yeah, he said, ain't no denying it. She has the golden touch. You have to work with her. And then I thought about it. Everyone that he knows, I had built businesses for. So I most certainly can do it for myself.
Yeah.
I felt so empowered thinking that someone I would have thought would have been a critic was, speaking so highly of me that I was like, I'm doing this. I've done it for everybody else. I have to just face my fears and go out there and do it. Do it afraid.
Yeah, wow. No, that's really, really good. No, thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
So, Jessica, what was that like for you then? Like, talk to me about your moment of belief as well.
Yeah. So I would have to say, for me, first of all, being in a male-dominated industry, when you think about power washing, the
Yep.
thing that came to my mind was I said, the big boys and people who do this thing day in and day out. And when you think about it, just riding down the street, when I was in my car this morning, there are like 20 different power washing trucks. Like everybody is starting a business, and you never realize the impact you have on others because of your belief. And because of my belief, I'm watching family members who are starting power washing businesses specifically because they see what we're doing, what we're implementing, what we're taking action. So for me, the moment of belief was, how do we become competitive at this? There's so many people doing what we do. But
Yeah.
I had to lean into what my customers were already telling me. They were saying, you provide the spotless experience. That came from them. They
Wow.
highlighted and made it clear what we do. And I was like, oh my goodness, you are right. Because a lot of times we try to make it hard, and your mindset just goes to this thing that can be 20 words and they give you three that sum it all up. And you're like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And when people see it, when you step in any room and they hear that passion, they feel that passion. And we do a lot of pre-bid meetings. So for us, it's the communication has to be clear and consistent across the board. But then when you show up, do I get the same thing? So
Yeah.
when we showed up and they're like, you know what, I can see you on the job site. We've gotten jobs within 24 hours because we believe that confidence goes a long way in
Yeah.
what we do.
Oh, that's good. Confidence. Oh my gosh, there's so many things I want to ask all of you right now. Okay, so this is good. So now I want to switch gears a little bit. And I want to ask each of you because I know what it's like. And this is why I'm so happy I have different industries on this call because I sometimes wonder, am I the only one that looks at what I'm looking at this way? So here's what I want to know from each of you. I want each of you to think about the industries you're in. You're in HR, Tammy, as you know, I don't have to tell you. AR, right? The financial industry, and then industrial, commercial cleaning, power wash. Are you all as and I will call you industry leaders, do you ever look at your individual industry that you're in and find the gap and say, but we do that. The normal folks who do what I do, they don't do X, but we do X. Do you have something like that in your industry where you are filling the gap for the people who aren't doing it in your industry? Like for example, Tammy, is there something in HR that traditionally the others aren't doing, but you said, but they need to do that. We're going to do that. Like, what is that? Or if you're able to or have you had those moments, you all, of saying, I'm going to fill that gap? Tammy, I'll start with you.
Absolutely. And the recruiting industry is, like I said, incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
It is a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. How do we differentiate ourselves from everyone else? So, with us being smaller and some of our competitors being larger, we can be more agile, we can be more flexible, we can customize our approach to our client.
Yeah.
We're very customer centric. I take good care of my employees, so they take good care of our clients. Our clients know about our culture, and I think it's very unique. That helps us stand out. Um, we have an excellent reputation. I have an SOP in place that tries to ensure that we're consistent where quality is concerned. Just this week, continuous improvement is constantly always something we're focusing on. And just this week, I say I could write a book, and I
Yeah.
have been this about 30 years. We had an unfortunate situation involved with a client, and so we're changing things to make sure
Yeah.
that doesn't happen again. So, and our clients know that, we take these things very seriously. We are in the people business, so we can't always control what they do, but what we can control is how we can modify our processes to make sure to try to avoid that from happening again. And so there's a constant focus on quality, customer service, relationships. Every relationship matters. Kindness matters. And we end up getting to know our clients quite well. So it's a partnership level.
Yeah.
So they know about us internally as well, and our culture and who we are and who our team is, and how we work together. And so I would say those are the things that differentiate us.
I love that. I think that's so healthy. And I wonder if in your individual industries, do you all do this assessment a lot? And so I'm curious, Mika, for you, I'll go to you next.
Yes.
In your industry, have you done that as well? Have you identified like a big gap that they're not doing that you're going to pick up that's easy for you to do or it makes sense?
Right. So for our space, that's a constant because I'm a consultant, right?
Yeah.
That's a constant. We have a special niche there because accounts receivable is a part of a broader finance accounting spectrum, right?
Yeah.
But what I kept seeing in every company and large companies as well, them treating collections more like an afterthought, no strategy, no system, and definitely no support for the people doing the work. As far as having something in place specifically for the AR side of things. So they may have a tool, maybe sort of like SAP or something like that, but a lot of sales tools.
Yeah.
The sales tools do not hyper focus on the collection side. And for me, that's sort of the blood of the business. You got to keep the money coming in, right? And so our niche is addressing that broken process right there. And I saw it over and over again. And I said, this is where we need to focus on. We need to go in and help them with the cash flow process, right? Specifically, make sure that the tools work, make sure that the strategy, the structure, the process, the people are trained. And then to top it off, now we're in the AI era, and I'll hold off on that. But
Yeah. Because everybody is, yeah, no, I know.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just so passionate about solving just two things, the burnout in the collections teams and the cash flow. That I've been passionate about those two things from the very beginning, from the first time I sat at a cubicle.
Yeah, no, that's so good. And we're gonna go there. Because I want to go a bit deeper after this question too. So I'm coming back to that, Mika. Jessica, I want to know from your side, I'm sure you have, where you've assessed what's not working well in your industry, and have you all picked up that piece of the market? I'm curious how often you assess and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so assessment is definitely important to us. And it's one of the things I think about sharing experience last week when we assessed just our unique offerings that we offer. When we thought about our scheduling flexibility, our expertise, and what I always say, good old customer service, it does not go away. Well, a lot of people offer those things. How are we different? For us, we work with a lot of different subcontractors. Sometimes we're the prime, but we're able to bring in other subcontractors. So for us, that looks like never losing that personal touch, making phone calls, inviting people to be a part. Everything's not just email, but we are personal. We are relatable. You can reach us, and we want you to get that experience to know you're not just another person on the paper, but we want to make sure that we're building this strong relationship.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, ladies, for sharing that. And I'll share something real fast too, because I think it's important to share how sometimes you're wrong with your assessment and then your market helps you to get it right because they will tell you what they want if you just listen. So as you all know, in our world, we focus on helping small businesses to get corporate contracts. And when we started, because all I had was a vision and a belief that I could do it, I still don't believe I had historical data. Right. I wouldn't have had because I just started. And so I remember in our first year, you all, in 2023, when we started this particular company, here I was talking to every corporation I could get in front of, and I was selling them, so to speak, on a benefit that they didn't care about. That wasn't a benefit to them. And sometimes you don't know until because you think and another thing, we can get you certified suppliers. And they said, we don't care anything about, there's every Tom, Dick, and Jane agency is getting people certified. That's not what matters to us. And I said, oh, well then, and they said the problem is, Dawn Nicole, is you have all these agencies who do what you do, and they charge us these high premiums. Now here comes the problem. They charge these high premiums annually, and the only time we hear from them is when there's an upcoming expo or conference and they want us to sponsor yet again. So it's the engagement for us. We're not getting engaged when we become partners. And I thought, oh, I didn't even That's so simple and so easy. I didn't even think you all that was worth bringing up. But so my point is, we absolutely do that. I then started saying, oh, well, we meet with you once a month. And not only do we meet with you once a month, it's protected time every single month, but we already have a 90-day path forward. So the moment we onboard you and bring you on as a partner, I can tell you what the next 3 months are going to look like, how we integrate you into our process, and you get to engage with our suppliers. The moment I started saying that, Tammy, it became real. That was their pain point. It wasn't that, they just needed certified suppliers. They needed something different. And
Mhm.
so my point is, in our world, it was very easy because the others were dropping the ball, but we didn't know it yet. So we didn't know what benefit to sell because we didn't know the real problems. And I think that's why that market research is so important, right? So if I could have went back, I probably, before I opened the company, ladies, would have spent like 90 days of just market research, understanding problems so we could formulate our offer and benefit on the problem point. So I digress. All right, now I want to take it to a different point. I want to talk about the things that maybe are the lessons learned that we don't talk about often. Like thinking back to, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed to tell you this, but here was a lesson I learned. I will never do it this way again. So I'm curious, whoever wants to go first, what is something in the past, 12 months or 2 years that was a lesson learned for you that you said, oh, I am never, ever going to do that again or do it that way? So is there anything that you can share that's like a lesson learned, a learning moment? A learning moment.
My biggest learning, and it wasn't just in the last year or so, but it's that you really do need a team.
Yeah.
I historically have always started things on my own, and I would even tell clients like, okay, I'm going to take it from here to here for you, and just let me do my thing, um, but then you get burnout. You'll burn out. You definitely need a team, and you don't know everything. You're constantly learning, so you want to be open to that. Another thing is, of course, along the same lines of needing a team, is to make sure you're always collaborating, right? Always networking, meeting people. Doesn't have to be in your industry, but there's always something eye-opening or encouraging or inspiring that keeps you going, especially if you're an entrepreneur. There's times you get burnt out or you're just not sure. You go, you meet with some folks, and next thing you know, their energy is contagious.
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely that you need a team. Don't try to go it alone. It's just too many hats to wear.
That's so good. And speaking of team, Tammy can help you hire that team.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, segue over to Tammy. Tammy, talk about something you've learned or want to share. Yeah.
I concur with that. I think your team is critical. I mean, it takes a village, and you have to have the right people on board, and people that are the right culture fit. You can't teach people to be a culture fit. You
Yeah.
can teach them some technical skills they may not have, but they're either a culture fit or they're not, right?
Yeah.
So that's super critical to me that I hire people that do truly fit into our culture, and I try to create a culture that's free of politics, free of drama. I use the word love a lot, where everybody loves each other and has each other's back and celebrates in each other's successes. And I really truly believe that I have a team that does that, that's very collaborative. They all want to help one another. And so that is very critical. So I agree that that is a big part of being successful, and it's hard to fly solo, and just getting the right people in place. And I'm also big on, I founded the company, and yes, I'm the CEO and founder, but I'm not a big titles person.
Yeah.
We're in this together, so like I said, it takes a village. So we all help each other in any way that we can.
That's good. Can I say one thing about that before Jessica? So Jessica, be thinking of your lesson learned story. I'll never do it this way again. But I just want to say real fast to piggyback, for a really long time, Tammy and Mika and Jessica, I knew I needed to hire. Okay. I knew we were growing by leaps and bounds, but I'll be very vulnerable with you right now because I think it's important for us to talk about, but why don't we? What is happening inside of us that makes us resist that, even when we know better? And I, of all people, know better. I'm like telling you all, you got to ramp up, right? For me, there were two things getting in my way. One thing is I was like, I'll hire though when I can justify consistent profit enough to make sure I can cover my number one fear. And this is actually a fear in life, even like as a mother, as a grandmother, like I have a personal thing where I can't let people down. If you're depending on me, I have to show up. Like I'll show up even harder if you depend on me versus if I depend on me. Like if someone else needs me, I cannot let them down. This is how I live, right? And I probably should take some of that pressure off. So in my mind, I thought I cannot justify a full-time role because what if I can't make payroll? And what if, yes, I had some good months, but what? So this plays in your head. Then the second thing is I thought, I don't have time to delegate. I don't know what to delegate. I need to do all the things I'm doing, right? And so these are the lies that I tell myself. Well, here's a news flash for anyone listening. I'm looking at the camera now. Let me tell you what has actually happened. The moment I hired my first employee in January of 2025, my profits soared. My employees, plural, have taken care of themselves. If you take the leap of faith, do it afraid, but by golly, do it. I did it with a grant, Jessica and Tammy and Mika. We could talk more about that. It was a grant here locally that I'll share that information on the screen when we get to this segment that allowed me to kind of step out and say, okay, I'm going to do it. Tammy, now that I did it, I can never imagine a world without her. Not only have we like tripled our profits by having another person who, which is the goal of someone who's in it. You think you're badass now. Imagine bringing on another person, right? Who can really double your, I was like, whoa, why did I take so long? And I promise you the delegation will come. It like when she first started, I was like, here's all the things I don't like. She can do this. It just came naturally. Now we're in a flow. She's like my clone and I can't imagine life without her. So please do it. Don't be afraid. Don't wait as long. So that's my advice. All right, I'm off the soapbox, Tammy and Mika. All right, Jessica, talk to us about a lesson learned, a fear you had to overcome, just some learnings here.
Yeah. So expounding on that, because so many good things said, and what Mika said was community. I think community is so important to be able to share your highs and then again those lows, because things do not always go the way you plan. And the biggest thing is the training aspect. Tying back into some of what Tammy was saying with this team, and as a leader, I had to lean into the fact that I never stop training. Even as I bring in an employee, I want to let them go and do that, go be an expert, go do what you came in to do, but you never stop training. You got to always, even though I have the processes, I got the procedure written out, how do we make sure you're getting the training you need to be successful in that role as well has been key.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. There's two final questions as we wrap. This is so good, ladies, that we could just have a whole nother segment because we only got into half of the things that I wanted to get into, but that's okay. We can always have a part two. I have to ask you all this, and I'm very curious. And Jessica, so here's where I'm going with this question. I want to understand the difference between selling something that's physical, like what Jessica offers to me, ladies, is like, it's something you can see when she's done. They power wash, there's a finished product that is tangible, right? You can see it. So like if I pay you money, or not just my car, anything, I'm not just saying car, but whatever the thing is that you are power washing, there's evidence that it has been power washed because I can see it with my eyeballs, okay? Now, take Tammy and take Mika, for example, and then take what I do. I just want to know if there is a difference in satisfaction for you. Like Tammy and Mika, where I'm going with this question is when I had my very first client, I remember the very first client, number one, the first time I made money. And because what I offer isn't tangible, you can't like put it in your hand and take it home. It was a service. I remember the person coming to my house. This is old school. We would never do this now, right? But she came over and I had like a 3-hour session. I charged her way too little. And when she was done, she paid me money and it was cash. And I was like, you good? You sure you good? You got, and I remember, and there was this big sticky note on the wall because I'd like mapped out her process, Mika, you'll appreciate this. But I remember the first time I took money for something that I couldn't see. And I was worried inside, like, is this good enough? Like, are you okay? Was this okay? And she was like, yeah. And she was kind of looking at me like, what the heck is wrong with? And I just had never been paid money before for something you can't see, but right. And so I just wonder, if that's, I don't think it works like that with you offering a tangible service, but I just wonder, so Mika and Tammy, was it like that for you in the beginning? Like did you have to trust that what you were giving is good enough? Like, how did you start to value the intangible side of your consultancy, if that makes sense? Something that you can't see a finished product like what Jessica offers. Is that a good question? Y'all are understanding what I'm asking here?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, I had already came from that space and already had those 15 years or so of experience under my belt.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew how it all
How
worked.
to price it
Um,
and yeah.
exactly. So
Okay. That wasn't
that
a,
was just kind of more of a natural evolution, I guess, for me.
yeah.
The pricing and everything still work the same.
Yeah.
However, back to your point, we are in the people business, and so
Yeah.
it's not a widget that we can put through quality control and make
Yeah.
sure it can work perfectly and properly. So, and I say that to clients all the time. We do everything we can, all the checks and balances,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it is a person, and we
Yeah.
can't control what they do. And I could say I could write a book after doing this almost
Yeah.
30, of all of the crazy things people have done, and so it is what it is, it's human nature.
Yeah.
So it
So
is a
your corporate background really helped you because all you really did, Tammy, is you did a lift and shift. You took what you were already doing and you moved it over. So that makes sense because I think what was hard for me is I wasn't doing this in corporate. So this was the first time
right,
I was selling like my
right.
service. And I was like, "Are you sure you're okay? You're," and she was like, "Yeah, ill. Like, what is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I'm just making sure." So was it like that for you, Mika? Were you doing the same thing in your, like, talk about making your first, profit and what that was like? Yeah.
Well, what I recall is being very verbose, right? I'm so passionate, right? And I was just all over the board.
Yeah.
And so later on, I'm like, oh, you can do this, you can do that, I can help you with this, da, 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 and I was just offering so
Yeah.
many things. And it's so funny. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but when I said, well, hey, you can hire me at this price, as a employee, or you can hire me at this price at a consultant, and the numbers made no sense. I'm just like, I was just so excited to have my first, but once I got paid, I'm like, okay, they see the value. So
Yeah.
like you, I kept feeling like, okay, should I do more?
Yeah.
More because it's sort of intangible. The
Yeah.
service at that time, now I have, advisors I work with, but at the time, I'm essentially selling myself and my knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
That's
And
exactly.
it's like, how do I scope it out?
Yeah.
Now, because having done the same thing in a corporate setting, I got it down to a T, to a
Yeah.
science on the process side of it. But initially, like you said, I went in there and I'm just,
Just doing all the things. Just
yeah,
what's next? What do
here's
you?
everything. And this is what else you should do.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Thank you for. So, what is that like for you? Because you, like we said, Jessica, your service is more. I can see it when you're finished. So you probably don't even think twice about this. This is easy for you because it's not necessarily an intangible service. Would you say, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's that experience. It's
Yeah,
an experience that you're delivering and just really understanding the packaging of it. So when someone is getting, when you say you're power washing a building, it's not just a building, it's a clean surface. Like just that experience of what they're getting, because you can get it from anybody, but what does that experience look like? So
yeah.
packaging that so that they feel that experience, I think adds that value and makes a tremendous difference.
Yeah. I've got one final question, ladies. I have to ask this because so I'm going to switch gears just real fast. We are women on this call. And as women, we're a little bit more social. We have girlfriends, we have friends, and we have those close friends who know exactly what we do, Tammy, but they sometimes think that they can get it for free or may not have to pay or will pick your ear. At least this is my experience. And I want to ask you if you've gone through this. One thing in my career early on that I went through is sort of like you, Mika, I had a bunch of girlfriends that I'm always too willing to give. Oh, you should do this. Da, 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 da. And one girlfriend and I, we used to go out to dinner all the time. She's like, and she'd bring her notebook. Right? She'd bring her note. Yes, Dawn Nicole. Here, eat more sushi. And they'll buy you a good lunch, a good dinner. I'm like, oh yes. And then one day This was eye-opening for me, and I just want to know if y'all have gone through this. One day during one of our dinners, she was so proud of herself. She had gone to Atlanta and she paid somebody like $10,000. She was like, I got into this $10,000 coaching program. I'm so excited. And I thought, but I'm the grow getter. By the way, my brand was called Grow Getter back then, the coach, growing you from prosperity to profitability, or one of those slogan-y things, right? And she had always said, I can't afford you, but I'll get, when I can afford you. And I remember how I felt when she said, yeah, I paid $10,000 for this great program and I'm going to be in this 1 week training. And I was like, and you're buying me sushi? This is the best y'all. And I had that moment of saying, gotta figure out my life. What am I doing? And I learned in that moment, and I don't know if y'all have gone through or if you have a rule about how much you give to friends or family or what that looks like. But for me, I learned don't give so much for free, because when you start for free, people want you to stay for free. They have a hard time readopting and seeing you as the expert you really are. And that was hard for me. I went through that in my early years where friends who I knew were friends, they knew what I did, they were paying other people, but still coming to me to pick my brain on the parts that they weren't getting there. And so I just want to know, have y'all experienced that? Has anyone here gone through that? Or is it just me and my crazy self?
I have. I did. I had a friend who, a close friend who wanted to start a business. And at this time, like I said, I was helping people start businesses, and she was working with someone else. And, it hurt me a little because I felt like, do you not trust me? Do you not think I'm good? Like we talk all the time. You see what I've done for others, but you went to someone else, and it was almost like you said, as if she didn't realize that this is what I did. When I spoke, so yes, that has happened. And, I sort of just kept doing what I do.
Yeah.
I did it, but it did. I remember feeling kind of hurt by it, and I may have, I don't know, called my mom or something like,
Yeah.
hey.
It's
Yes.
clear. Is it me? Then you start
Right.
clearly communicating. No, but I want to hear from y'all too. So yeah, Tammy, you look like you were going to say something. Then Jessica, I definitely want to. Yeah.
So, we're business to business. So
Yeah.
because our fees are so large, a lot of our clients are larger organizations. And so
Yeah.
I do become friends with our clients, and then some friends become clients.
Yep.
And so I will say you're getting the friends and family discount, but it's not anything crazy. It might be slightly discounted. Um, we just filled a position with a friend. She was a friend first and then a client. And it was an unfortunate situation. Her mother had passed away and she was backfilling that position. And I said, I only want to charge you what I have to pay my recruiter,
Yeah.
because my heart went out to her and I just felt
Yeah.
like the thing to do as a friend and as a person. And she insisted from one small business owner to another that she pay full price.
Yeah.
And it was still, I gave her a discounted fee, but she was very adamant. And I know this person very well. And I knew she wasn't going to
Yeah.
have it. And that's how she rolled. So I don't have that challenge as much. I guess I'm more blessed in that regard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So,
also because we're business to business now too.
right.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say the same thing. I think I noticed that when I was more B2C, business to consumer.
Right. Same.
But now that I've switched, like there's no way Regions Bank or Atrium or these guys, right? They're not asking me for discounts.
Right.
And then here's the beauty. And then Jessica, I know it feels like we're always talking before it gets to you, but here's the thing too, with our prices now being on the website and being completely transparent, I really don't get small businesses who say, hey, can you discount that VIP price? Nope, the price is what it is, just like you can't ask Chick-fil-A to discount their sandwiches for you, right? It is what it is. So
Right. Good
but
for
yeah,
you.
yeah, thank you. But Jessica, I want to know, have you gone through, and even if it's not in power washing, because Jessica does consultancy, she helps people get grants. She's a wealth of knowledge, even beyond just, what you're offering your power washing. Have you had friends who wanted to kind of like pick your ear, take you to lunch and tell me about that?
Yes, yes, yes. It's as if you were peeping into my life, like literally. I experienced that. And I think, especially when you're being visible, you're sharing your wins. People want to tap into that success and they're like, well, hold on, how did you do this? And what I learned is because I'm so full, I believe in investing. And I want to, if you ask me a question, I can give you a strategy. But at the end of the day, it's not just the strategy, it's the implementation piece of it and it's the execution. So
Yeah.
I'm like, the how, we've got to work, through that. You have to book a session just to get clarity because I want to help you. And in order to help you, I got to get clear on where you are so that you can achieve the success you desire. But a
Yeah.
lot of times people see that and yes, they want that information. And I found out what did it for me. I was at an event and I was sharing my story and I wanted to pour out because this particular business owner had just left her corporate job and I was like, oh, I was giving it. She was like, hold up, I can hardly keep up. Like my pencil can't even write everything down, but I was so excited for her. And when people see that visibility, you have to have a way so that they can, because at the end of the day, you have to remember as a business, your job is to keep money coming in and keep
Yeah.
revenue coming in. And so I had to say, how can I do that? And I think that is an important piece. What you said with the prices being on the website, Don Nicole, I'm in the process of updating that website for my workforce development piece so that everything is clear and everything is right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I found, and you know what, it's no different. Like, ladies, this is why, with fast food and restaurants, we don't challenge the price because it's on the menu, right? Or it's visible, it's in front of us. We only challenge when it's not transparent, right? How did you get to this? How did you? And so I think, and I, just so you know, when I was a small business owner and I was doing direct to consumer, where I was just helping, one to one, so to speak, my prices were a little bit more ambiguous, right? It was like, oh, I gotta see. It depends on how am I feeling? Is it Thursday? I had some flexibility there. I know Mika's like, is it there? But it would really depend on how difficult are you? How complex is this? Do I have time? Now I don't operate like that. I'm looking at growing at scale, and transparency is a part of that, right? People need to be able to determine quickly, am I in or am I out? Is this me? Is this not me? And especially for where we want to go. So I appreciate you ladies sharing that. Any final words of advice? I'm going to do a round robin. Mika, I'm going to start with you, Jessica, you, then Tammy, end with you. Words of wisdom or words of advice for a new business owner who's just leaping out this year. Anything you can share?
Yes. If you are running a business and you go have receivables, don't wait until you have a collection crisis to care about the receivables. The way you manage your cash flow tells the story of your business. So you want to get ahead of it, whether you use tech training or both. Just know that there's tools and there's people out there to help you win.
Awesome. No, that's really good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jessica, words of wisdom.
Yeah, so my words of wisdom would be clarity comes in the doing. You
Mm,
have to be active, and the more you do it, the more clear that you will get. And a lot of times we overlook the skills that we already have. Someone can use what you have in your hands, the resources, the tools that you know. And I'll leave you with this. I'll never forget, I had to call an attorney's office and I was making sure the payment was there. And what she said resonated with me and it sticks with me even today. She said, I had to verify that because we get millions of dollars that come through our office every day. And I'm going to say that one more time. We get millions of dollars that flow through our office every day. So, whatever your expertise is, remember there are over 7.3 million people in this world. Someone can use what you have. It's just getting started. You've got to take the first step. And once you do, get in community. And I always say connect with boots on the ground, people that are doing it because success leaves clues.
that is
Thank
so good. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, Tammy, and then I'll close this out. Yeah.
But you spend so much time at work. Make sure you choose a career that you love, that
Yeah.
you have a passion for. Stay true to yourself and your values, and don't compromise.
That's so good. Thank you. And I'm going to leave us with this one thing. I'm going to look in the camera because I'm talking to all of you because I first said it to myself. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Ask the hard questions. You all, I knew I was becoming more and more successful when the conversations were getting harder and harder. This is real. I'm giving you an honest. When I had to have uncomfortable, like, oh, I don't want to, I like this person or I don't, right? And it doesn't, it's business. And if it's about the greater good and you know you've got good intentions and you're advocating for, I have to have a hard conversation this week about something I was doing for free, happily, far too long. And then I reassessed, it's 3 years later. And I was like, I'm getting my doctorate. I'm a TEDx speaker. I have a sing. Why am I still doing this for free when the DJ's getting paid, the mime is getting paid, everybody's getting paid but me? Because I said yes 3 years ago. Don't be afraid to reevaluate your situation, rewrite the script, advocate for yourself, have the tough conversations. The more successful you become, the tougher the conversations will be, but you can do it. And with that, thank you, ladies, for being on the phone and
Thank
give yourself a
you.
hand, clap it
Thank
up for each
you.
other,
Yeah.
and we'll be back soon. Thanks.